Hello and welcome to episode 34 bonus topic. We've got a first for a bonus topic this week. We've got a guest panelist who is not on the main show. Ian, what's your last name? Sorry.
It's Maule.
Maule?
Yeah, like what a bear does.
Oh, sweet. Ian Maule is, there we go, thank you. Ian Maule is our guest second panelist this week. Ian, tell the audience a little, and me actually, a little bit about yourself and what your background is.
All right. So I'm currently a staffer at the Tulsa World in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I went to Western Kentucky, graduated in 2015, and have interned kind of across the country in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Utah. Had a small stint in Georgia, and now I'm here. So I've been in Tulsa now for about almost a year. It'll be a year in September and stuff. So yeah, and from north of Chicago. So I guess it'd be Oklahoma via Illinois, Kentucky, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Utah, Georgia, kind of track like that. Yeah, it's a little bit of a lot. So
all over the place.
Nice. Yeah. And what a lot of people don't know is that Tulsa World is just slightly below Disney World in terms of fun and excitement.
Exactly, yeah, and corporate ownership too. It's the same way. It's exactly the same way. We have to wear ears while we're here. We're called Imagineers, not employees. It's a very fun time over here.
Actually, Disney employees are called cast members.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Pixar is Imagineers. So.
All right. Well, let's get on with the bonus topic for this week. We're talking about in my bag shots. So these are becoming more and more popular with the rise of different photo blogs and whatnot. You see them all the time. I've linked to a Petapixel in my bag from C.S. Muncie, so go check that out. It's from his RNC kit. But what's the fascination with these? Why are people taking them? Why are people posting them? Why are we looking at them? What is about this sort of pseudo news story interest item that people find so fascinating? Ian, why don't you go first?
I just think there's a general fascination because of how much our society has become visually based with the increases of social media and things like that. Even as like 5 years ago, the idea of having a Twitter being essential was something that was still kind of, some people didn't have it. But now, when I joined Tulsa, that was one of the things I had to do was be a lot more active on Twitter and things like that. I think also there's just a general curiosity in what we do because it's so available now. Back in the day, it almost seemed like if you didn't know how to develop film or if you didn't have the money to have film photography and things like that, you weren't really part of it. You kind of had to be in the club. A lot of times, freelancing wasn't really an option. It was staffing or working for an agency. Those were kind of your only two things. But I think now people are curious to see how people are making great images, and I think the one thing they want to do is just kind of see what they're doing and stuff. It's the same way as if you read about how athletes train or what does an actor do for a movie and things like that. The what's in my bag I think is really interesting. Because I think in my opinion, it's debunking a lot of the myths that everybody needs top of the end gear and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see the different styles of photographers. Like an advertising photographer, what's in his bag? He's going to have way more gear than your standard day-to-day photojournalist that has kind of a more run and gun kit. So I think like Ian was saying, if you have a photographer you really like and you want to make images like they do, you all wonder what are their tools of the trade, and when you see those in the bag shots, you can maybe kind of get an idea of what they're using to do what they do and stuff. I think some of them can be maybe a little cliche, how everything's perfectly laid out and everything, but no, they're interesting for sure.
I mean,
right, like, hey, look at my camera body and my 3 lenses and my flash.
Yeah. I'd like to see, like a what's really in my bag shot, like, all of the junk that you accumulate in a, it's like all the receipts and etc. that you just accumulate day to day as a photographer on site. So that'd be interesting.
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, they do demystify sort of the what is actually going on. I mean, there isn't anything special, so to speak, in terms of the camera gear. Anyone can go out and buy it, but it's what's special is obviously what's behind the lens. You know, the brain, the eye, what they see. But I think they're interesting to see. I look at them and I don't know. Sometimes I'm more fascinated by either the amount of gear or the lack of gear. Really, you know, when for instance, in C.S. Muncie's shot, you know, of his gear, honestly, there isn't much. It's pretty Spartan. And then sometimes you see people who bring, you know, portable lighting kits and 6 or 7 bodies and you know, 8 to 9 lenses, and I'm like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably where the fascination is.
Yeah, you know, that photo of what was in C.S. Muncie's bag. I really want to see the photos that he shot with at Hasselblad at the RNC. I think those are going to be really cool.
Yeah, he loves bringing out the film camera.
I mean, I just also think the one cool thing is I'm more for, and I will always be a supporter of, if the public understands what we do and how we do it, I think we're going to be allowed to do more of it and do more with it. Because I think the biggest fear with things is that people just don't know what we're doing with the camera and things like that. You know, there's been plenty of assignments where I've been on where they think my 24-70 can shoot across a gym or sometimes like through walls or whatever, and just, you know, just to kind of be like, hey, look, this is kind of what I bring and stuff. And I think, to be honest too, there is still this kind of nostalgic obscurity with photography because a lot of people like really want to be good at it. I compare photography to bowling a lot, which is it's really easy to be good at bowling. It's really hard to be great at bowling. Like, anyone can go out there and get it down the lane. But with, like, the same thing with photography, it's pretty easy with technology now to go out and take an okay photo. But obviously, I mean, it takes something special and it takes time and experience and all those things to do something great with it. So the in-the-bag shots I kind of think are kind of cool because I think what you're doing now is you're also looking. I like the ones that show the other things that they pack too. I think Patrick Fallon did one for a thing, and it showed, like, you know, his wallet, his card, you know, his keys, things like that. You know, I've always liked stuff like that. You know, so
yeah, the little touches that, you know, make each photographer different. You know.
Yeah, like I bring a yellow beanie every time I shoot in the wintertime because my grandmother looks for me on TV.
Oh,
so
nice.
Like, yeah, so does my mom. So like I bring that because I used to wear it in college and I wear it now when I shoot on the sidelines. I have a yellow hat or a white hat I'll wear so my parents can find me on the sideline because I know that's important to them. Like, I don't need to do that, but, you know, those little touches and stuff, because, you know, my mom will be like, look, Ian's on ESPN, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of different though, but yeah, things like that.
Oh, is he moving the ball down the field? Is he a big sportsman?
Yeah.
Camera, and he's on the end zone. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm all for that. That's also kind of why I really like. You guys had mentioned at the end of the last podcast, like, suggestions. I will always be a fan of the Image Deconstructed. It's a great blog because I think the coolest thing that it does is that it talks about like the process that gets made behind it and things, and just more or less. I think a lot of people think in our job, like, oh, if I had that gear and I had that access, I could take that photo. But, you know, that's also like saying, you know, if I trained for a year, I could be in the NFL. And it's like, no, you can't. Like,
yeah,
you're not genetically going to be 6'7" and 300 pounds. Like, you're just not going to be able to do those things. So I like a lot of these blogs that are kind of pulling the veil back a little bit and just really trying to, like, show us. I think a lot of people think photographers are these, like, black turtleneck elitists, like, we know so much, you guys don't know anything, you know, we're so smart. I really like that we're kind of exposing, like, nah, we're all kind of really, like, awkward dudes that wear flannel shirts, or, like, we're all just, like, normal people, just men and women that really like what they're doing and are just as self-conscious and stuff. And so I really enjoy, you know, things like this, and I really hope to have more of it, to see more of it, and hopefully, I know it's not going to, but hopefully people who don't take photos catch on to this and will, like, read this and stuff.
Yeah, you know,
I like that concept you bring up where you said we're genetically predisposed to being photographers. I like that. I'm going to keep that.
I mean, I just think there's something where like there's just like you just have to have a general curiosity and you have to have a general. I think one of the biggest things, especially if you want to keep doing this job, is you have to constantly be able to find things to entertain yourself about the job too. Like, and it's really cool to see these guys. I work with a guy named Mike Simons, who's in his mid 40s. He's been doing this for 24 years, and he's excited almost every day to do his job still. And like that's something that like I desperately think this industry needs. For as much as news is going through so much stuff with newspapers, going through what they're going through, and people thinking, with the distrust and everything, we need people who generally love what they do to do this. Like, and I also need people to stop thinking that this is some like cool. It's a cool job, but stop thinking that like we're making six figures and like driving around fancy cars.
Right.
Yeah.
I just hit seven figures last week. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, those seven figures for me were most of them were after a decimal point. So yeah, no, I mean just like that.
They're in the .000 fractions of cents. Yeah. So I mean, I just think it's something. So yeah, I like that, and I know you guys are. I also think it's really cool what people bring as like a fun camera, as I always call it. Like you just talked about the one guy brought the Hasselblad. I used to bring a Holga on the sideline and stuff. I think it's really cool when people have stuff that is just like a throwaway, or as I call like a home run lens, which is like I used to bring a 35 prime when I shot football, and everyone's like, "Why'd you bring that?" I go, "Just in case, just in case it happens, I got it." And it's a home run lens, and you only use it. You take 7 photos on that card, but you hope that that's the photo that you use and stuff. So I think it's really cool. I've really been a fan of those things. I just wish that they would. I wish they would go more for like a week to week kind of thing. Yeah. Week to week. What do you mean like that?
So they do it like the RNC. Obviously, you're gonna bring the certain gear that you want and stuff, but I would love to see like what a photographer uses within a month.
Okay.
Like more of your standard gear pack, because like if I shot the RNC, they send me when I go to shoot. I cover Oklahoma football mainly, and I bring my standard stuff, but I overbring lenses because like you have no idea what you're gonna need. But on a daily assignment, two bodies, 24 to 70, 70 to 200. If it's a sport, so I'll use a 3 or 4. But yeah, I'd like to see just how like instead of it being like an event, just like, hey, what are you doing week to week with the LA Times?
Okay.
Like, kind of.
Or how does your kit evolve over time?
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see, a daily shooter or a freelancer that does different types of work. Kind of outline. Today I'm shooting this, and this is what I'm bringing in my bag. That would be cool. That'd be interesting to see.
I just had a great idea. Let's do a time-lapse project of in-your-bag shots over the course of a year.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's something too that I think is just interesting because, like, I think photography is one of those things that people are fascinated by, just because, especially with the way that more technology gets going and stuff, it's one of those things that people are thinking is so simplistic, but then the more they try it, they're like, wow, this is really tough. And I think also we have 3 photographers talking about in our bag shots. If I were to bring my mom onto this, she'd be like, oh, they do that? That's so neat. Like,
so Ian, I love what you're talking about on the in your bag stuff. That's so incredible.
Yeah, my mom didn't grow up in Queens, so no, but yeah.
That's my generic mom voice.
There you go.
Yeah,
I do that to my mom, and she's a Polish, born immigrant who, doesn't sound like that at all. But it's just what I go to in my brain.
Oh yeah, but I think it's cool. Yeah. I didn't think before you brought this up, I didn't really think there were that many of them. I think the weirdest thing now is that, if the one thing that I've been seeing a bunch of is it's just Snapchat, just how Snapchat has played into the life of a photographer.
It has exploded into like the photojournalism world. It seems within like the last 6 months. It's crazy.
And that brings up a great point. You can follow Around the Lens on Snapchat. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. I mean, if you would have told me the app that was essentially made for sexting was going to be one of the most vital tools in photojournalism in 3 years, I wouldn't have believed you. But I have a friend named Javen Botsford. He works at the Washington Post, and he has to get a certain number of photos, make a certain number of tweets, and make a certain number of Snapchats. Like,
Oh, wow.
that's part of it.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Like,
It's
that's
almost like it's interesting because you're not only being judged on how good of a photographer you are in terms of your finished product, but now it's like you have to have a social following. You have to do all this stuff on the side to, sell yourself and sell your work, we talked about it in another episode where it's like, people hiring you, they want to know, do you have a following as well? They can look at your portfolio and be like, oh, you're a good photographer, but what are your Twitter numbers at? What are your Facebook likes?
Yeah,
So
they
like
want to make sure that you're, posting regularly to Instagram and Twitter, and that you're well versed in hashtags and all that. I mean, that's part of your general job posting now that I see pop up for, daily shooters.
Yeah, and how comfortable are you in front of a camera? How comfortable are you talking to an audience or being essentially a host, if you will?
Yeah, so pretty soon, Ian, they're going to have you doing Facebook Live videos from the sideline of OU football games. How do you feel about that?
If it wasn't for media contracts that OU has, yeah, I could see that. But I mean, essentially, yeah, I'm doing a little bit of everything and stuff. But I mean, I do really like the idea of, like, I think there was a time when the recession hit where it looked like a lot of newspapers were rolling over and falling down and just kind of like, all right, this is the end and stuff. I do really like how some papers, Washington Post is a great example, New York Times, obviously, and other papers are really embracing technology and being like, listen, like, we got to try something different. We got to try, like, doing this and everything. And I think, again, especially with, like, Snapchat and stuff like that, it makes photographers more personable. It makes them seem like what they're doing and stuff, especially with the RNC, especially with the DNC, with the political race and stuff. I think a lot of people just think that it's like, like we're eating steaks with Trump and Clinton, and it's like we're not. Like, we're in a holiday.
Not?
No, they're yeah. I mean, it shows them a lot of, like, this is what they're doing. Like, they're doing a lot of the nitty gritty work, and the reward they're getting a lot of times is people being like, look how biased this is, and it's like, no, I've covered both. I don't know how it's biased. I've done both.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. All right. Well, this has been an awesome topic, and I thank you both for chatting with me on it. Thank you again, Ian. Ian, is there anything you would plug, please? People can find out more about you since you were on the main show. People would like to.
Sure, yeah. I just got featured on the blog I was talking about, Image Deconstructed. Didn't plug it just because I was on it. I was plugging it because it's great. But it's run by Ross Taylor. He's done something great. I really enjoy it. And then, yeah, you can check out my work at ianmaule.com or my blog, which is ianmaulphoto.blogspot.com. And then, yeah, just follow me on my Instagram handle is imallphotos. And yeah, I don't Snapchat, so sorry about that. Just don't do it. Yeah, I would just do that. And I think the best thing to do is whoever's listening to this and everything, just like, really embrace just your local talent that you find people around and stuff. It's really easy to get goo eyes over guys from New York and LA and stuff, and they are great work, and you definitely have to look at it. But there's great photographers. They just put out a list that was best Instagram accounts in every state in America, and I thought that was awesome because the cool thing with photography is that, like, so many more stories are being told in other areas of the country that we didn't think were that important. But rural Oregon a couple months ago was the spot to be because people took over a national park cabin, and we need talent there and stuff. So I think there's a mentality for people to think New York and LA are these meccas to go to and stuff, but you can do really just solid work anywhere in the United States, and there's some places in the United States that are desperately changing that need that. So I think, like, just supporting the people in your backyard is the best thing you can do.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Ian.
Oh,
thank you, Nick. This has been a great bonus topic. I appreciate both your time. And again, thank you all for listening. This has been Around the Lens, episode 34 bonus topic, and we're out.